I think I'm going to put a fresh edge on the skew. It was pretty sharp to start with, but I'm going to be into all that glue and wood chips. I have no idea how that's going to cut. I'm going to set this, we're going to fire it up. I've got it mounted in my big 3-inch chuck jaws here. I've got the lathe running about 1800 RPM. I'm holding it with the tailstock, make sure the tailstock is snugged up good. Tailstock is nice and tight. We're snugged up. And I'm going to start right here and see what happens on the foot. If I mess up the foot and get a catch or just have issues in general, the whole thing has to get smaller. So we're going to start in here and I can't even see the glue. I know there's piles of it here and I can hear it as I try to find the bevel. So I'm going to roll this foot over. That worked. I'm going to try to roll this back here and try not to get a catch because, we turned the camera on and I'm talking because that's just always what happens when you start talking. So I'm trying to cut this very lightly. I don't wind up with any chip out. And then all worked pretty good so far. Clean up that edge. Now I'm going to put just a little bit of taper because I like a taper angle on that detail from the bead here on the end. And there's still something flagging there. I can feel with my finger. So I'm going to roll that around one more time. I'm not sure what I'm feeling, so I'm going to turn the lathe off here and have a look. Oh, got some air holes in the fill, but that is much better than I expected. That's a little bit of glue and some sanding will fill that in. So I'm super happy with that. All right, I'm going to take my skew and work this middle section here, and then I'll come back with the spindle gouge and work the cove and blend in what I do with the skew, hopefully without a catch. So I'm finding the bevel. I'm just trying to make light cuts here to not catch a whole bunch of heavy on that glue. I'm going to stop and see what that looks like. Everything turned white, so maybe I'm down to the... Oh, that turned out beautiful. Yep, that one did too. No, lost some fill there. That glue's not completely dry. I wondered if it would be too deep, but I can touch that up, fill it in with some more glue. So I'm going to keep moving on here, see what else I find. Some of those cracks are kind of deep. So I started in a fresh spot where had already gotten through the glue fill stuff. And just drove right into the fill. So we got the neck there. And I'm going to clean up this detail in the bottom of the tulip flower. And we'll see. There was quite a bit of chip out. I just saw a chunk fly on my finger. So I don't know what happened there. Probably got another big chunk missing now. Something flagging there. Well, some glue slinging out. This wasn't dried in that spot either. But that turned out okay. Let's go around the other side here. That one turned out okay. So yeah, maybe we might be okay. Let me grab the spindle gouge, clean up this and that, and then I'll move the tool rest and work on the tulip there on the head of this. And I'm really just kind of thinking some CA glue to stabilize those spots that weren't quite dry on the tight bond. Okay, that cove is nice. I'm just kind of working my way down here on on the edge, and as I get to the bottom where I want to make the cove, I open up the skew. Excuse me, I open up the throat of this tool. Yep. All right, that's a nice cove there. It's a little hump. I'll clean that up here in just a moment and get a look and see. But that's better than I expected it to be. So I'm going to finish blending this into the end of the cove. Now that's nice. All right, that is all. All right, that's a nice cove there. It's a little hump. I'll clean that up here in just a moment and get a look and see. But that's better than I expected it to be. So I'm going to finish blending this into the end of the cove. Now that's nice. All right, that is all workable. Now we'll get the skew back out and see if I can get around the bottom of the top here. It has kind of a tulip shape, which is why I keep calling it a tulip. I like the shape. I think it's neat. Raise the handle and run it into that corner. Beautiful. Now we'll come around the top, and I need to thin out that end and work on that bead that I cut in. And I want to thin this out just a little bit more. Give it a little bit more shape. Yeah, I like that. And I just wanted to round that out a little bit. And now I'm going to work on this bead that I tried to turn in. Got the long point down. Just work my way around and lift the handle. There was a knot up here that right in the middle of this bead that did a bunch of tearing out, and well, there's a bunch of glue there. I'm gonna see if I can just find the edge here and try and slice it off. I don't want to do a peel and cut and knock a big chunk out. Thought about it for a second. You saw me approach that with the tool, getting ready to do a peel and cut, but I think a slicing cut's probably safer. Now that that's trimmed off, I can get up here back to this bead. I'm working on some shape and size here. I don't want it to be a giant bead, protrude a bunch, but I want it to have an offset taper to it. There we go. Now I'll slice this down and make it meet the bottom of that bead because I pushed a little hard. All right, that looks really nice. Long point and clean up the bottom edge where it makes contact. All right, now we're going to turn this off and have a look. I can still feel these cracks go by my finger. Now there's some glue that came flying out because, well, that's all really soft. It's not cured yet. So this is going to have to go back to the bench and wait for this glue to cure because it was too deep. It took me 4 hours, wasn't enough time. So that's going to be a wrap on this one for right now. And I will, put some more more glue and sawdust in there, I think. And I think what I'm going to do instead of doing that is use some black CA to kind of fill in. I'll put some sawdust, just put some dry sawdust and CA and accelerator. But I'm going to give this another day to cure because it's just going to be a waste here to keep going after because I like what I've got so far. This all worked. If I'd have let it sit for 2 or 3 days before I did this, you know, I was afraid of that, and I should have known better. But here we are. I was excited to get after it, and well, so that's okay. Live and learn. Put a little bit more glue into those holes that slung out because it wasn't cured yet. So hang tight. We'll be back with this project in a couple of days, probably, once I get this glue to cure. Later, guys.